For me, an area that I'm really passionate around is digital disruption. I think when we look across the industry, I'm a CIO within the finance industry, you look what's happened in the last 20 years, there has been a lot of innovation around digital, but typically taking that analog process and take it to the digital arena. So whether that's ATM or faster payments. I believe now as an industry we're in a new tipping point about actually digitizing our data assets. So for me it's about actually exploiting our data assets for the new world of digitization. I think for me it's on two aspects. So I think one is actually looking at how you run the technology operation in terms of increasing innovation and agility, while at the same time actually reducing the cost to serve that technology. So that's one aspect. But I think secondly, and for me more importantly, I view myself as a business-facing CIO, is actually putting the customer at the heart of that journey. So what I'm seeing across the industry now is around the next phase of digitization, the customer is very much front of mind and centre, and the new service propositions are being developed and delivered to actually enhance the service that's being delivered to our customers. So what I see that is really driving, market dynamics is the customer is now being put at, front and foremost of that proposition. We've done, digital 1.0, which is looking at taking an analog process and putting a digital wrapper, i.e. internet banking. That model is no longer sustainable, and what I'm now seeing is new disruptors are coming to market with new service propositions to actually deliver greater agility and innovation to the customers. So whether that's around new digital banks coming to market, or other, disruptors challenging established firms across many, many markets. So there's many things, but I think from my own experience, there's three key things, and I think it really does come down to the top of the house, making sure there's a robust and aligned business strategy. So from the CEO's perspective, what's the digital roadmap? Who owns that roadmap? And ultimately, it should be the CEO that is doing that digital visioning across the business. Secondly, it's very much about building the future organisation. So looking at new streamlined operating models, looking at your existing organisation and where you have gaps in skills and capabilities. That could be around data analytics, that could be around information of things, looking to bring those skills in-house. And thirdly, it's around the governance, making sure there's a robust and defined governance model to actually maintain and manage the risk, at the same time to actually encourage and expedite, progress around the digital strategy. Yes, I've been lucky to be involved in, both customer-facing digital disruption, but also internally. So big focus of mine previously has been around actually digitally enabling the technology organisation. So if you look at that organisation, it is a business in its own right, but actually making sure it has the right capabilities and competencies to actually deliver a very efficient and effective service for the 21st century. So I see that in terms of what's happening around the whole digital agenda, we touched on that now that's being repositioned to put the customer first and foremost around the digital agenda. But that whole digital agenda, in my experience, is built on four key pillars. One is around social, the second around mobile, third analytics, and fourth cloud. So if I kind of take a couple of minutes. So one is around the cloud, the provisioning of that processing power is moving off premise into the cloud with infinite scalability. Most businesses, if not all businesses, are data businesses. So whether you're a bank or you're a manufacturer, one of your key, if not core asset, is your data. So using that data asset to exploit its, commercial potential, its commercial opportunity. And thirdly is around mobile. The key thing is around enabling your workforce to be mobile, to be out there, to be interfacing, meeting your customers and driving new business. And finally around social, to actually engage with your customers at a time and a place that they want and they warrant. In my experience, the foundation has to be about repositioning the technology delivery on the customer. So the customer is first and foremost around the technology digital strategy. Underpinning that are 4 key pillars of social, mobile, analytics and cloud. So let me take those in reverse order. The cloud is about having infinite computing capacity. Thirdly, it's around data analytics. In my experience, all businesses are data businesses, so looking at how to exploit that data to deliver competitive advantage. Thirdly, it's around mobile, enabling your workforce to work outside the office 24/7 or at a time and geography and time zone of their choosing. And finally, around social, it's about engaging with your customers at a channel and a place that they want and they require. Yeah, so I think what I do see is a major shift in I guess the capabilities and the competencies the technology organisation has to provide. So while there is a need to run the business and keep the lights on, there is a need now for most CEOs. There's a recent survey from Gartner saying 50% of CEOs view that digital will be one of their primary business objectives. So what I'm seeing now is boundaries are becoming blurring. Digital is now becoming a key business enabler, and technology is significantly, if not inherently, linked to that journey. So I think roles and expectations will change. That may warrant, I guess, new roles being created, but I think it's a phenomenal and fantastic opportunity for technologists to be part of the kind of future stage, the future of success of both their industry and their organisation. So let me break that answer down into 2 things. I think one is, I guess, the near to medium term, and one is slightly far dated. So I think for me, the most near-term thing is the Internet of Things. So the provision of Internet-enabled devices. I think where that is interesting, especially in the financial sector, could be around aspects such as trade financing in terms of export. So if you were having some goods exported from China, if they were Internet-enabled, as soon as they cleared customs, that could then actually initiate a particular kind of workflow, maybe for funding or for some kind of currency exchange. I think that is really quite interesting, and that is probably within the next 2 to 3 years, if not sooner, time frame. Looking further afield, I think there are some very exciting technologies around robotics. We're seeing that virtual advisors already starting to appear in wealth management. I think there's greater aspect for that technology to be applied to other sectors, and then even to extrapolate into virtual reality and augmented reality. So for me, I guess the provision of robotics and virtual reality will have some significant and far-reaching changes across the technology and also how we engage with our customers. If you are at the start of your digital transformation, I think it's very key to have, I guess, the 3 foundational pillars in place. One, to ensure there's strong alignment to your CEO in terms of actually defining and documenting what that digital strategy and transformation should look like, in terms of also then sharing that journey with your customers, your staff, in terms of what that digital visioning roadmap looks like. I think secondly is then looking at internally into your organisation, looking at how to architect your organisation in terms of operating model, governance, skill sets, capabilities and competencies. And finally, it is around innovation and the right culture. So looking at how to put in place a technology organisation that is innovative and agile, while at the same time ensuring that it is collaborative both across technology, but also driving greater partnership and effective relationships with your business stakeholders.